first year that we've ever had two chicks to a pair of Takahē. It's much more normal for them to have one chick. They sometimes do lay 2 eggs, but they very rarely manage to raise 2 chicks unless they're in a captive situation like this, where we can provide them with supplementary food. We're looking at a bird that was believed to be completely extinct. It's a very romantic story, a bird that we thought had gone forever. Was rediscovered here in Fiordland in the Murchison Mountains. Those are the mountains up above the glowworm caves across the lake from Te Anau. They were rediscovered there in 1948, so something over 70 years ago. Just a couple of weeks ago, they wouldn't come out into the open at all, and now sometimes the young ones want to come and take a close look at us strange human creatures. Takahē are like a lot of our native birds, and that is that the plumage or the feathers are the same colours whether they're males or females. So we tell our birds apart by just recognising their faces. However, they also do wear leg bands. You can't see them for the long grass, but they've got coloured bands on their legs so that we can easily identify which bird is which. And they also wear a metal band, and that metal band has a number on so that we know exactly who each Takahē is related to. The population at one point would have been well below 100 breeding birds, and so the genetic base of the population is really small, and it's important that we do whatever we can to avoid introducing birds to each other who are too closely related. There are today around 450 Takahē. And this sounds like a small number, but it's the highest number that we've known to exist for over 70 years. 175 of those are breeding. Sorry, there are 175 breeding pairs as part of that 450. Last season we added something like 50 young birds to the population, and that's a big step in the right direction. That's Dad. Now the interesting thing about Takahē is that Mum looks after the baby while the baby is very small, but by the time it gets to this stage, she's kind of had enough. Dad takes over with the juveniles or teens. So, we've got a big hatching of tiny flies here. I want to let you know that they are not the biting sand flies. These ones are just tiny little grass moths. We have these beautiful birds living with us until late March or early April, and then they will begin their journey to the wild. Like all birds raised here, they will become free-flying wild birds. Of course, they cannot fly.
So where will they go?
Our 3 youngsters raised here this season will either go to the Murchison Mountains, the original wild population, or to the Gulan Downs on the Heathy Track, and that's the area where a new big wild space has been prepared for Takahē 2 years ago, and they love it. They're doing really well, they're breeding, they're thriving, and people who are walking the Heathy Track are actually seeing Takahē, which is pretty exciting. Now, a really important thing about our birds, they're very happy and settled. If the flies are bothering you, if you move away from the tree into the open, you will not have flies in your face, I think. So feel free to move if you would like to. Eggs that will never hatch. They are infertile birds. They cannot have families of their own. And that's why they're here in captivity, because we're able to give them foster eggs and occasionally even foster babies. These foster eggs come from the Takahē Centre, where in the spring, the first hatch of eggs laid to any pair of birds is taken away. So the birds who've lost their chicks just lay more eggs. So we can double or treble the number of eggs added to a population in a year. Now we've been so lucky today. We're getting this wonderful opportunity to see the Takahē family. Some days this is the only Takahē I have to work with. I'm going to pass Takahē around because he's wearing a radio transmitter. Our females are the males wear this little bit of technology on their backs. And the creaky, clunky call they make to keep in touch with one another. Now, this is a very old sanctuary. Many of our aviaries were built in the 1970s and things are forever breaking down. And right now I can let you out of that gate, but I can't lock it from the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'll let you out here and I'll invite you to go on up to our duck enclosure, say hello to the ducks, let them know that we're coming with food, and I'll lock you out and scoot out the other gate, run up the hill and meet you there. So we're going to go through our duck enclosure and get to feed some ducks from our hands if that's what we would like to do.